Shalom, I'm Stephen Krause, Education Consultant at JESNA. Welcome to the third in a series of interviews with innovative Jewish educational leaders. The purpose of this series is to provide an eye-opening glimpse into some new approaches designed to provide quality Jewish education to different key stakeholders. We're conducting these interviews for two purposes. The first and most immediate one is to catalyze thinking and dreaming for leaders in different communities that are partnering with JESNA on our WOW project. The second and larger purpose is to create an online video catalog describing innovative thinking and projects in Jewish education that can be posted on the JESNA website for all who are interested to see. Our guests today are Valerie Mitrani and Julie Lambert, co-directors of educational services at the Center for the Advancement of Jewish Education in Miami, Florida. Welcome, Julie and Valerie.
Thank you, Steve.
For those of you unfamiliar with the WOW Project, the WOW Project is a joint initiative of JESNA and the Association of Directors of Central Agencies, known by the acronym ADCA. The goal of the WOW Project is to engage greater numbers of children and families in satisfying and impactful congregational Jewish educational experiences by enhancing what exists and developing a broad range of program options using both traditional and non-traditional approaches. Today our focus is going to be on enhancing what currently exists by hearing about how Sage Miami is leading the way in professional learning. Valerie, could you please describe the guiding principles and goals of your Sharsheret initiative?
Sure. So we began Sharsheret 5 years ago for congregational schools. And the guiding principles of Sharsheret were, when we first started to look into the field of professional development and what we now know about professional development, were that in order to impact student learning and the environments in which students learn, we have to really impact instruction, which in turn means we have to work with our faculty, with our teachers. So what we decided to do was to work with all of our congregational schools, and I'll describe that process in a minute, to really learn about what are the standards for high quality professional development and how to focus that on specific student learning needs. So to get started, we conducted a needs assessment, and what we found out was that our congregational schools were really in need of professional development that was relevant to the needs of their students, to the needs of their schools. So we had that conversation with our principals, and we brought in many different resources, including some literature from the National Staff Development Council. And what resulted was a plan to create a leadership academy for our congregational school directors, and also to provide funding for the school to do some kind of professional development that was specific and site-based and relevant to their school's needs. So the goals for Sharsheret are to enhance the level of expertise among educational leadership in the area of professional development, to build their leadership capacity and to prepare the education directors to design and implement site-based professional development that would be responsive to their school's needs, and to provide ongoing professional development for our education directors. In addition, through the funding, what we hope to do was to support school improvement through meaningful professional development programs and to generate a learning community and a dialogue, a culture where teachers are communicating with each other regularly about student learning needs and about their goals for for classroom instruction. So those are the goals and the guiding principles of Sharsheret.
And those sound wonderful, and sometimes people say, yes, sounds great, but how do you really do it? So how did you translate these goals and guiding principles into action? So how does Sharsheret really work?
Okay, so 5 years ago when we started Sharsheret, we engaged Stephanie Hirsch, who was then the Deputy Executive Director of the National Staff Development Council. She's now the Executive Director, and it's now called Learning Forward. And Stephanie came to town. She lives in Dallas and is an active member of the Jewish community in Dallas and has always wanted to bring her work in professional development to the Jewish community. She came to Miami and she met with our education directors. We had a 3-part leadership academy. Actually, it was a 6-part leadership academy. Stephanie came in January. Julie and I led some follow-up work in February. Stephanie came back in March. We did April. Stephanie came back in May, and we concluded in June. It was a 6-part leadership academy in which we engaged all our education directors. And they learned about the latest research in professional development. They learned about what it takes to create effective, meaningful, job-embedded professional development opportunities within the school walls, as opposed to leaving the school to go get the training, but rather bringing the training that's relevant and specific to the school to the school. It concluded with the development of a professional development plan. So we gave each school the opportunity to apply for funding. It wasn't a competitive grants process. Each school was going to receive funding relevant and according to their needs. So each school developed a professional development plan with a specific student learning goal, a specific professional development goal that would address that learning goal for the students, and specific steps which would lead to implementation of that plan. They did that in the first year, and then we continued to do the Leadership Academy. So basically for every few months, every 6 weeks, I believe it is, we bring the Sharsheret directors together to learn about specific areas of staff development that can help them improve their practice in their schools. For example, data collection, how to look at data, how to collect data, and how to look at that specifically in a congregational school part-time setting. How to build professional learning communities, how to conduct study groups with faculty. And that Leadership Academy is ongoing, and it's basically what we do for congregational school directors' professional development. They, in turn, take that back to their schools and use it to inform their ongoing professional development. In addition, we continue to provide funding for grants to the schools based on their professional development plan, which they consult with us on developing annually. And it's really just become a part of the culture and a part of the way that we do things in Miami for congregational schools. And it's had great impact on the education directors, and they've reported great impact on their faculty. And we're beginning to see the results on student achievement based on what their goals have been in their schools.
Great. Let's pick that up with you, Julie. What have been some of the successes and challenges of Sharsheret as you've been monitoring it over these past years?
Well, we've had some really great successes that are not quantitative data necessarily, but a lot of qualitative cultural data we've gotten back. First of all, both Valerie and I have been members of the congregational school community, because that's how we both started our careers here in Miami. And the whole nature and culture of the community of educational directors has really been transformed over the last 5 years, really building a professional learning community where we use protocols to solve problems, where we address specific school challenges as a collaborative, helpful group. We've learned all about ways to share resources. And there's a real culture shift in terms of the collegiality of the directors, who there's a lot less competition about my school, your school, and a lot more about our schools together meeting different needs and really coming together to address this communal responsibility. There's been a lot of culture change in the schools, just in terms of the faculty's response to the learning, the way our faculty are submitting credit requests for professional learning through our Board of License program. They're really taking their professional learning very seriously, and they're realizing that it makes their teaching that much more meaningful. We visited several of the schools, and when they're all working on a specific focus together, they feel like they're in a community with purpose. We have one school that's really, really honed their curriculum on prayer. And the way they're teaching prayer is integrated into every aspect of the congregational program, from the family to Tefillah experience, to the Judaic curriculum, to the Hebrew curriculum, to the music curriculum, to the youth group curriculum. They're really beginning to see their work as impacting the system the children are experiencing. We've also seen and gotten feedback that SAGE as an agency in the community has had a transformed sort of role. We're really looked as a place that has expertise in professional development, and we are referenced or looked for by a lot of people in the congregations, not just the education director, where we're helping to consult and helping think about sometimes strategic planning for various committees or working with the board committees. So they kind of they see SAGE as a real educational resource and thinking resource. SAGE has managed through this work to advocate and receive 3 times the funding that congregational schools received 5 years ago from our Greater Miami Jewish Federation. This project started off as a grant, and the first 2 years was a grant, and we would apply every year and hope that we got a certain amount of increased funding. Well, the program became so successful, and the Federation was very impressed with the work and the quality of the work going on, that it's now become a standard part of our agency's allocation. So Sharsheret no longer a granted program, it's an allocated program in our SAGE budget, which really allows us a lot of ability to really address needs of the schools, because we can we know that we would be told if we weren't going to get the funding a little sooner. It's not just sort of if we get it. The community's really made a commitment to our congregational schools, and it's made a big impact on the community. We're also building capacity in our schools. We really believe that expertise lies in the hands of our education directors and our teachers. So we have a lot more capacity building. We've worked a lot with the education directors, and in terms of where we're going next, we're really looking next to how do we impact that second order, which is then the teachers. We've had great impact on the education directors, who have then gone back and impacted their teaching staff. The question is, what do we as a community do next in impacting that second order change and reaching into the teachers? And that's part of our plan for the future. We've actually impacted the bigger Jewish educational community of Miami because of the work we've done in congregational schools. We learned so much about it and realized the capacity to impact learning that we launched a day school project on the heels of our congregational project. So the day schools are really grateful to the work of Sharsheret as well, because we've been able to bring the expertise of the power of professional learning into our day school community as well. And we're actually beginning to think about what does it mean and how does it translate into our early childhood community. So it's really had a great impact on the community. There are challenges. It's hard work, and the success of implementation has a lot of factors that are out of our control as a central agency. One of them primarily is, do congregations have full-time educators? Are they professional educators? Or is running the school part of another clergy's job portfolio? It's not a full-time portfolio. So we have varying capacities in our schools, which means that not all the congregations in Miami participate in the Sharsheret part of our congregational support. We support schools through scholarship funds, community scholarship money. We support them through the Green Spoon Steinhardt Awards. We run those awards. We have various other programs and opportunities, but they may not participate in the professional development initiative just because it's not on their radar screen and it's not a priority in their smaller piece portfolio. It's also hard when you're in the 5th year of a journey where you started from nothing and you've grown when new people come into the community. So we've worked very hard on how do we initiate new members when there's a professional leadership change in a congregation. We've met with people and tried to kind of give them a 101 on Sharsheret. It's hard to share the experience of learning as you go, but we've managed to bring in new leadership. And we also have some schools that were very successful, lost their educators, and now they're not pursuing the professional development plan anymore, which is very frustrating because they really were on a great road. Again, as I opened by saying we have a lot of qualitative data. We don't have a lot of quantitative data on impact on kids, which is a frustrating thing when people want that kind of data. But when we're talking about cultural shift and cultural paradigm impact, we really have a lot of narrative and a lot of anecdotal evidence. We also had a comprehensive cross-case analysis evaluation after the third year. And we've really used the findings from that, from an outside evaluator, to direct where we're focusing some of our work. So those are the challenges. It's really, in the age of data and measuring impact, this kind of work is not in the widget business, so it's hard to measure, but we're working very hard to do that.
Great. So you alluded to it before, but could you expound upon what your goals, your dreams are for the future of Sharsheret? And along with that, can you talk a little bit more about how you think Sharsheret is really changing the way in which congregational schools are functioning in Miami?
Well, we're at that precipice of figuring out what's next. Again, we're beginning to think systemically and systematically about how to engage teachers, how to build a community of colleagues amongst teachers, the way we have amongst education directors. A lot of the congregations are talking about how do we come together. We used to do Yom Limud, like I'm sure many communities do, and the impact and the optics were a lot stronger than the metrics of that kind of day. So we're trying to find a way to focus our community learning and maybe have schools in cohorts, maybe come together more than once a year with follow-up back in the school so that the teachers feel like they're also part of this bigger community. Because we think that that's really important in this day and age when it is very part-time and teachers are professionals, albeit maybe 6 hours a week. They're still professionals, and we're encouraging professionalism, and we want to build that sense of professional community. We want to continue to push the conversation and push to have more of our congregational schools having professional leadership. We'd love to see more participate in the professional development piece of it, but that's so dependent on congregations and their state of staffing and all of that. And again, it's really focusing on the teachers is our next level of work. But we do see it continuing, and we've got no reason to believe that our community isn't interested. In fact, our constituents very much look forward to our meetings. We have great attendance, and just want to move the work forward and really respond to their needs as things are changing in their congregations, working together to figure out how to best solve their problems and their issues, and making sure that it's not stale and that we continually bring best practices to the community.
Great. As somebody who's been an outside observer of this process for the past 5 years, I can attest how much work and thinking and good work has gone into Sharsheret, and I'm delighted to see that it continues and that the two of you continue to shepherd this in Miami. And I know you're also, helping in other communities bring the word of Sharsheret. If anybody who's watching this would be interested for getting more information online about Sharsheret, where do they go?
www.sage-miami.org.
Now, SAGE, to some people out of Miami, is difficult to spell, so please.
CAJE, Center for the Advancement of Jewish Education.
Great, thank you. So I want to thank...
Or they can call us in the office when our website has our numbers and our extension, and we'll be more than happy to have a conversation with you about starting or any more information we can give you on the program.
Great. I want to thank Julie and Valerie for spending their time with us today. As I said before, this is just an amazing whole institute. It's a whole enterprise about really bringing professional learning into the world of congregational schools, first the educational directors and then the teachers, something people should really take a look at. I thank you all for being with us today, and shalom.
Shalom. Thank you.